Right then, welcome back to Walsall Fan TV. It's fan chat time. Fan chat time. We got all the crew here, and another 24 hours of the transfer window. So are we set? Is the big question. I've got lots of things to cover. We try and get it all done in the hour. I've got one interesting Twitter post that I want to sort of cover. The Nathan Lowe rumour, we need to cover that off. The Chesterfield game, we need to talk about that. Jammer, Matt Sadler, the comedy night, if anybody's not heard, and then a little bit about the sponsors. Okay, so pick a number: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pick a number between 1 and 7. Frankie.
5.
5. Right then, Matt Sadler is number 1. How about that? Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome, Darren, Phil, Daz, and Frankie. Matt Sadler. How much has Matt Sadler learned in the last 12 months, particularly given the collapse from last season? Has he learned enough to make sure that doesn't happen this season? And is it all down to him? I'll go with Frankie first.
I don't think he's learned much, because if he'd learned anything, he'd have a plan B. And I think that's honestly his biggest problem. He does not have plan B. He has a plan A, and his plan B is plan A, but worse plan A, and plan C, well, that's just plan B, but worse. So there's not much he should have learned to have like a different style of football. Which is, yeah. I mean, you saw, he changed to a box, but it took so long to change to the box. Like, he changed yesterday at Chesterfield to a box eventually, but it was like a weird kind of style. So I don't understand. He's like, and I hope he has learned, but I don't think he's learned in terms of not to play the best players until they're all out tired, because we do see a lot more changes week in, week out, which I prefer. He doesn't waste the players' whole energy in the first half of the season, but there is still problems that Stadler had from last season, which I think and they've got worse. Same with he doesn't have a different style of football. His style of football has got more defensive, even longer ball football. It's somehow got a bit, and it's not better to watch. It's actually got worse to watch, and it's not favourable. It's just hard to describe because he's not playing well at the moment, and it's
I'll get you. I'll get you with that. Daz, your thoughts?
Sorry, what was the question, mate? So Sadler learned.
How much has Sadler learned from last season, and can we tell?
Okay, I'm gonna be on a different side to others on this. A fair bit, I think. I think there's. I think Frankie's already touched on the amount of changes he's made. I think he learned not to play players into the ground. I think he's willing to be flexible. I take Frankie's point about the box midfield on it just coming back, but interestingly, he only played the box midfield when Alfie Chang was available last year. It's the only time we saw it. Maybe out of desperation, but Chang comes back in and suddenly the box appears. He tried to do a couple of things with the midfield in recent weeks. He kind of inverted the 8s and 6s, so he got 2 sitting and 1 in front. I thought the first half, he was really interesting because he kind of went with a flat 3 in midfield. Whoever went forward, the others dropped in. So I think he's tried to change things. I think a number of things that Frankie mentioned and other people have criticised him on style of play. It's a hard watch. But I would say I think he's working with a set of players, or was until this week, working with a set of players who weren't as good as what he had last year. I think he had. I think we missed Taylor Allen significantly, not just defending, and I'm not kind of centering on Ware for the area yesterday, but Taylor Allen brought the ball out a lot better than anybody else, and I think we missed Burke as well. I thought you saw yesterday. Yeah. Burke was comfortable bringing the ball out yesterday. I think, and there's a number of areas where we've been short. I think I mentioned a few times Ryan Stirk. I thought he was average yesterday. He was as Ryan Sturck gets yesterday. And finally, we've got Chang in there who can do that role at least as well. I think there's a few players that we've been that not as good as we had last year, and I think that's part of it.
Okay. Same question, Darren. Now, before I just go to Darren, I think we're talking before we kicked off the show. I think a lot of this is subjective, and we will have differences of opinion. But I mean, that is the joy of football and the joy of fans. People are going to disagree, and it's fine to disagree as long as we're sort of respectful with it. Disagreeing is perfectly fine, and people disagree with me all the time, and it's part of the game. So, Darren.
Yeah, I agree with both what Daz and Frank were saying in terms of I think there's instances where I think he's not. I was sat there at the game fuming on Tuesday, like I'm thinking he has not learnt anything. Then we saw what the comment. What I wanted to get like little soundbite across tonight was that I think on Saturday we saw the team that we could be. Right.
Yeah.
Now, I think in terms of learning, and we're talking about learning, I'm not going to repeat what Daz and Frank. I agree. I think he's definitely rotated the team more. That's obvious. You can tell that with the subs and stuff. Tuesday night, I'll either be heartbroken or I will be elated. Right, and if I see Jammer starting up top Tuesday night again, right, and it's the same long ball. After what happened at Chesterfield, that was like patches of football broke out at Chesterfield after about 35 minutes, right? And that is the team that we could be, I think. It was something different. We were trying to play through Chang. I know it wasn't, champagne football. It was better than what we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
It was compared to the previous two games.
Oh, God, don't even get me started. Like, that was vile, that Tuesday night game, Crawley. So I think we can. I think Sadler's got that opportunity against Bristol Rovers to show that he's learnt, and I really, really hope we do, because if we go back to the long ball, my heart will sink. Like, and don't get me wrong, there's going to be occasions where it is appropriate, right, in the running. We've seen this style of football can be effective against the better teams, right, and the teams that are more possession based. So I'm not suggesting we play like Barcelona or Crawley. But that was something different in that second half. And I really, really hope that we can kind of like jump on that and learn from that.
Yeah. Phil, same question. Matt Sadler, his learning journey. Where do you feel he is on it?
I think he's learning things, as the others have already said, but has he learnt enough? I'm still not sure. I wasn't at Chesterfield yesterday, so I can't comment on the game, but picking up on the general gist of the comments that I did read about yesterday was that when the temptation wasn't there to put the ball long up to a target man, that we did actually play a little bit more football. That seemed to be the general response from everybody. My concern is the home form at the moment, and I don't just mean the last two home games that we've all unfortunately had to sit through. I think it goes back deeper than that, and I think that's something that Matt Sadler really does need to look at. The mate that I go to the matches with, Kev, he said to me coming out the ground on Tuesday, we haven't played well at home since we beat Bristol Rovers, when we came back and beat them 2-1 in the second half. So I had a little look at that when I got home and thought, well, let's just break our home form down a little bit. And since we played Bristol Rovers, and that was on the 4th of October, our home form is played 8, won 2, drawn 3, lost 3. So that's 9 points from 24. And in those 8 games, we've only scored 7 goals. We beat Crewe on Boxing Day, which I think was an attritional 1-0 win, but we did the job, fair enough. The only other performance you could say was probably a good performance was the second half against Bromley, when we came back and beat them 3-1. The draws have been against Shrewsbury, Accrington and Crawley, and we only managed 1 goal against those 3 teams. And the defeats have been Barrow, Colchester and Oldham. So if he's really going to win people round and show people that he's learnt lessons, the home form simply has to improve. And I'm not just talking about results. I'm talking about the way that we play at home as well.
Yeah.
Because the last couple of home games were just dire. There's no getting away from that. And our away support is fantastic. We take great numbers away from home, and I tip my hat to all those supporters who travel all over the place watching us. But the majority of our supporters watch us play at home.
Yeah.
And if they want to keep fans coming, if they want to give them something to hang on to, the home form and the home performances simply have to get better.
Absolutely. I think, from my point of view, I think as you guys have said, Matt Sadler has learnt, but sometimes you wonder whether he should have learnt so much more, given the amount of games he's managed now. He's starting to change the formation. But the persisting with Jammer, I want to sort of go on to Jammer a little bit more. Darren's already said if he plays Jammer again on Tuesday, he's sort of going to go a bit crazy. But I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. What are his options? Because he can't play Adoma. Adoma can't play 60, 70 minutes. So he can't start Adoma on a regular basis up front. Elvis Aaron Presley, he's not fit. And he's struggled to play a full game. And Lupala Boy, he's not ready to play 90 minutes every week. So unless we sign another player, another striker, who else can he play up front? Darren, I'll go to you first.
Why sign this Fulham kid then? Is my first thing. If you can't
hang on.
Why?
The Lupala Boy, I think, needs game time and needs to be benched into the team. He's not ready to stop. I'm thinking by the end of the season, he might be ready to play 90 minutes every week. But right now, I don't think he's ready to play 90 minutes every week. Sorry, go on.
I think the question, Simon, is one for the recruitment manager or whatever he's called now. This
Mr. Andy McGregor.
Yeah, who works for. He's also CEO of a recruitment company, isn't he? Like a
he's a recruitment consultant. Yeah.
I'd like to ask him that question, why he thought that was an appropriate signing. Now, let's give it. We've got 24 hours left of the window, right? If they get someone in who's going to, I said this in the last fan chat. We needed to bring people in, hit the ground running personally to go up. We knew from last year Jammer's legs are gone. Right now, I know he's had a little bit of a mini resurgence, but I'm telling you now, if he starts every game, we're not going up.
Well, he started too many. He started too many games last season, and I think let's just step to Daz, and Daz will very clearly and very eloquently tell us the excellent attributes of Jamil Matt. Daz?
Yes. I got more time for Matt than most. I got more time for a lot of them than most, to be fair. I think Matt does a job he's asked to do. I think we're getting to the end. I would have loved to. Ideally, we'd have won at Wembley and he'd have retired, and he'd have probably ended up at Ensford, given what Ensford are doing at the moment. And good luck to him. And I don't mean that disrespectfully either, by the way. I think there's a task he's been given to do, and I think he's doing it for the best of his legs allow him to do. I'm kind of with you. I thought we looked a lot more effective second half yesterday. There was two things that went on. One, we stopped knocking it long, and two, we played through midfield. I guess they're related. You can't really play to feet with Jammer in the team. You need something a bit different. I think he gets a poor run, Jammer. He was brought in. I think he's done the job he's been brought in to do, but that we feels like we've moved on from that. And I sat in the car on the way home yesterday. We were kind of talking about the second half, and I openly said, have we just seen the end game for Jamil Matt? Because I think you saw yesterday, we've kind of, if yesterday's anything to go on, we've kind of moved on a little bit. I think he gives everything he can for the shirt. That probably isn't enough anymore. I think we need more. But I'm not in the queue to knock him in any way, shape, or form. He does what he's asked to do.
Phil, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm pretty much with Daz on this one. I'm not going to come on here and criticise Jamil Matt. The bloke's had a very good career as a lower league striker. He's been fairly prolific. He was brought in to do a job, which I think for the most part he has done. I think it's more about the style than it is about him. Because I think you have similar issues when you play Aaron Pressley up front as well as Jamil Matt. Some would argue that Jamil Matt's actually done a better job in that role than Pressley has recently. So I think there's deeper issues there. Look, Jamil Matt, we all know what he can do, and we all know what he can't do. And I think, unfortunately, as Daz has just alluded to, I think he we saw at the end of last season that he got absolutely run into the ground at the end of last season, and the fact that he is still leading our forward line more often than not is an issue for the club to answer. It's not on Jamil Matt. He's doing his best. I think he gives everything he can for the team. So I'm not going to criticise him at all for that. I think it's much more about why are we in a position now when we've got a striker who was clearly coming towards the end of it last season, still doing it this season.
Yeah, I think Daz wants to add something extra to that.
I said in the summer and early in the season as well, Phil's bang on. Matt brings us stuff off the pitch as well in the training ground, and that won't matter to a lot of people, but you've got a very inexperienced playing squad, okay, that needs some leadership and guidance, and don't underestimate the benefit of having him around as well. I get that doesn't get you to 78, 82, 85 points. I get that. But the players need examples to learn from. Matt, Flint, Adama have huge roles to play there as well. So everything Phil said and a bit more.
Yeah, I think sort of closing off on the discussion with Matt. Matt Sadler doesn't have many other options, and that's the problem. We need another striker in who's ready to just be slotted in, who can play in that role. somebody can link up play. Will Grigg yesterday, he linked up play amazingly well for Chesterfield. And not saying that we can go and get him because he'll be probably on about 5 times the money that Jamil Matt's on. But yeah, we're short of options. And that is down to Travella, not to Matt Sadler. And Matt Sadler will get criticised for picking Jammer every week. But when you've got no other players who can play the majority of the game, you have no other option. The only other option perhaps is Rico Richards, which we all know Rico Richards as a second striker would be a completely different change to the team. Frankie just disappeared for a second. He's back on. Thoughts on Jatma before we move on? Frankie? Yeah. Oh, we've lost your sound a bit. We've lost your sound. Right then. We'll jump off that a second. The performance at Chesterfield. First off, maybe I think it was the lowest the Walsall fans have been for the season. We were all full of despair, and you could feel a toxic atmosphere growing. And then suddenly, we started playing football and transformed our style. And suddenly, some people say I'm getting carried away here, but we looked like a footballing side capable of winning the league. Daz, thoughts?
I didn't think we were as bad as people made out first 25 minutes yesterday. I thought, we were 2-0 down. One was a mistake. The first one you got to close across down, and but we had chances within that time as well. Don't think it was as bad as what people say, but and I didn't quite get why why this. I think the stick came from the score more than the performance.
Yeah. I think people react to that, don't they?
Yeah, and I thought we were much better. I mean, Chesterfield got goals. There was a cross that Adama put in before we scored that looked like the one from last year, and you kind of thought Chesterfield haven't improved. I thought there was a lot to build on yesterday. I really do, but I don't think we were ever as bad as what we say. We certainly weren't as bad as we were at Norwich or Cambridge. You know, all the last 2 home games. I thought there was more in yesterday.
What do you think, Frankie? Have you got your sound back?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yesterday, I was a bit annoyed that we were 2-0 down in 20 minutes.
No.
That was most. I thought to be 2-0 down after 20 minutes, and that performance was just a really bad first half. But then we got a goal back, and then we started to get back into swing and things. And then that second half, we played a good amount of football, played really well, we moved the ball well. And then we got that second goal, which we equalised. And I thought we were playing, and then we took Alfie Chang off. And then we lost so much momentum after one player came off. And it just shows how much that one signing could mean this season. And it's so interesting. And I hope Sadler takes that and goes, so we played well against Tranmere because we played the ball on the floor. We played well against Chesterfield when we played the ball on the floor. Maybe we should play the ball on the floor more often. But if he doesn't take that as that, then I don't know what Sadler's going to think of his.
It's funny. It's funny, Frankie, that in the post-match comments, Matt Sadler has said they keep knocking the ball long too often. And so he's been saying that to them. So maybe it's not Matt Sadler that's saying every time the ball comes near you, launch it. So maybe it's not all him. Maybe it's just the pressure of the situation and the composure of players around you that sort of that helps with that. I think
it might be to do with when they're under a bit of pressure, when they're scared, and they don't feel like they've got the ball. They feel unnatural, so they reverse back to what they know best. And Sadler's taught them to Petwood to know what best is hit the ball on. So they automatically think you got to hit the ball on, but it's probably a bit of that.
I just want to very briefly before I go to Darren, just want to put this up here. Did anybody hear the rumour that Pomlett went into the dressing room at half time? That's quite funny, that is. I think Pomlett would like to think that was true, but I think that's very unlikely. Sorry, Darren, Chesterfield game. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so again, just to echo what I said in the previous little chat, I can see the team that we can be in that second half. And I just really, really hope he's watched that and he's seen it, and he's not, because Sadler's, rightly or wrongly, I find him quite as a stubborn manager. That's a good trait, right, in some cases. In other cases, like last season, not so good a trait in being stubborn. I just really hope he's looked at that. And just to kind of link with the Jammer chat, why do we have to play Jammer? If we can just play Kano up top with 2 off him, that's another option, right? So
when we did switch to sort of 3-4-3, and I think that worked. Well, and I think Rico Richards and maybe Courtney could jump into that.
Who'd have thought playing Adoma in a more natural position would benefit the team a little bit more? So I would put it this way: coming out of Accrington and Crawley especially, I was super down after those games. Weirdly enough, the fact that we showed that fight to come back yesterday, I know we didn't win, but that second half gave me a little chink. Do you know, the end of Interstellar, when he's looking through the bookshelf of the glimmer of the future? I was that was me. Please, please, that football. Can we play football, please? So that I just really, really hope, right, that he's seen that and he learns from it. And I thought the second half was great. Apart from the last, you could tell when Jellison Comley came on, when Chang got tired, and I forget who Jellis came on. It's a bit of a blur. But you could tell it dropped off a little bit, I think, when they came on.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably dependent on Patterson, Chang being in there.
Well, I think maybe it's maybe it's turning round where we were playing 60 minutes and then putting on the finishers. But now we've got Pattison and Chang, who are maybe the 60-minute boys.
I think you
I
can
think
tell
he
they're good
took
football.
Chang off.
They want the ball.
I think he took Chang off because I think he's not really fully fit.
I get that one.
And that makes sense. But I think I'll bring Phil in now. I think I'd rather us play real good attacking intent football for 60 minutes and then slow the game down and hold things off for the last half an hour. What do you think, Phil?
I don't particularly care as long as we win, quite honestly. There we go. I think just on the I wasn't at Chesterfield yesterday, so I can't comment directly. I've seen a lot of the comments post game, but I wasn't there. My thing goes back to what I said earlier about the way we play and the approach to play. I think now we've got Pattison and Chang in midfield. There's no excuse for not trying to play through midfield. We've got players in there who've got a bit of quality on the ball. Pattison who can drive forward with the ball. Chang who's a tidy player. We saw that last season. I think Daz made a good point earlier about the box midfield. The fact that we did that with him last season and went back to it again yesterday. Maybe that's one of the main reasons he wanted to sign him, because he feels he can facilitate that change of formation and make us a little bit more fluid in how we play the ball. Look, I was a bit flippant earlier when I said I don't care as long as we win, and essentially I don't. I mean, I can remember plenty of games under Ray Graydon and plenty of games under Chris Nicholl where we won it 1-0 or 2-1 and we spent a lot of time defending leads and that sort of thing. I think as long as you get the job done, that's one thing. But I just think I just want to see us try and play a little bit more football. I think there's too many times, particularly in some of the recent home games, where we've had an opportunity to try and play the ball into midfield, to try and work some space wide, and we've just done the easy thing and lumped it long. And I think that's a habit that the players need to get out of as much as anything else. But Sada needs to instill that in them. If we are going to change shape, now we've got some ball players in midfield. Let's use them for what they're there for.
Yeah, I think I like the comment here from Colin Moss. Jamil Matt is probably best used for the last 20-25 minutes. Obviously, he's very good at set pieces defensively and going forward. Maybe that's a better way to use him. And maybe switching tactics during the game and sort of have our last 20 minutes, high press to close the game out and keep things tight. And do all the expression and the passing quality and chance creation in the first 60 minutes when we got the likes of Chang and Pattison on. And it's difficult. Let me. I want to change.
One player you're not going to see anymore is Lewis Warrington.
Lewis Warrington. Yeah, he was at Tranmere on Saturday. I think he's gone there, hasn't he?
Well, Walsall will have his contract is finished. He's departed the club by mutual agreement. So
but we paid for Warrington, hadn't we? Or had we?
Shocking signing, in my opinion.
To be honest, I thought he was starting to get better, but I think from a very low marker. But it's a wage off the bill. I think he was on decent money. So I think it does make sense if we can sort of get him off the wage bill and move on. It's funny, the signing of Alfie Chang, just on a 6-month deal, that seems very much in Chang's favour, doesn't he? If he does well, he'll be moving on to somewhere else for more money and moving wherever he wants. And we won't get any benefit if he does well for us.
I think those timing with Chang, he's had injury problems, hasn't he? So it probably protects us slightly with that one.
It protects us, I guess. I guess it protects us. Let me read this Twitter thing from earlier. And this is like a different strain of conversation, really. First of all, the comment said, Dundee take Evan Weir. Which I think, I understand that comment, but Evan Weir has been off it the last few weeks. But I mean, I think he's still a good quality player. Last 6 months of his contract, maybe a cash-in opportunity, but then who would play on that left side? Because Laporta, he's never going to be fit enough to play more than Priest. So what do you think about that? First of all, we go to Daz for that one.
Oh, God, kill me there. Yeah. I think you need to rest. Unfortunately, at the moment, I don't think we've got anybody who can come in and give him a rest.
Rico Brown and Hancock, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. But right at this moment in time, I'm not sure we have anybody that could come in comfortably on that side and not unbalance us. That part of that role is not just defending. Part of that role, as I said earlier, Taylor Allen almost made it his own in bringing the ball out and bringing the ball out on the wrong foot over there.
How about Danny Cox?
He's gone in. He's back at Derby, isn't he? So,
but I don't think he was good enough, was he? Danny Cox. Defensively, I don't think he was strong enough.
Maybe not. The one game he started, we kept a clean sheet. Don't forget that. But could you replace him? Yes, you could. But as yet, for me, he's earned his place in the team. He's done enough. He probably needs a rest. It's already been a long season. I would imagine that the rumours are that there's credence in the rumours because that's what's happening. We saw it with McKenty. I'll probably cash in, to be honest with you. If I could do it tomorrow, and tomorrow's the last day in it. If I could do it early enough to get somebody else in, I'll probably cash in.
Yeah, the thing is, when you're sort of competing for promotion, you want to keep the squad together as best you can. You want to strengthen it rather than weaken it. But yeah, Evan Weir has had a few gaffes of late. So difficult.
I thought it was interesting yesterday when he made a mistake. A couple of the players went to him and kind of, come on, it's okay. And I think Sadler referenced it as well at the end. But it's not like he's on the outside; he's absolutely on the inside. And I thought it was good yesterday.
Yeah, they're definitely playing for Sadler, and the team are all together. And I think there's a lot of praise to be given for Sadler for that. Before I mention the next comment, I just want to mention I'm chatting to some people after the game on the way out yesterday, and they referred to something that I'd mentioned on the channel about where we are in the league as far as budget is concerned. Now, I think realistically we are in the bottom 8 in the division for budget. And Matt Sadler, again, has got us fighting up there at the top 8. So I think against budget, which we're now listening to Lee Pomlet, budget isn't everything, but he's got us overperforming in the division based on our budget. So the next comment I want a response from, I think we go Phil for this one. Shrewsbury, take Sadler. So that's a request for Shrewsbury to take Sadler. What do you think of that?
Well, they're not going to, are they? Because they've just appointed Gavin Cowan. They've just appointed a new manager, so he's not going to Shrewsbury, is he? I think it was interesting. I think, as I've said before, I work at a school in Telford. I've got 2 Shrewsbury season ticket holders who I work with, and when who was it? Michael Appleton was sacked earlier in the week. One of them did sort of mention Sadler. Would that be a possibility? And I said, no, I didn't think it was. But then obviously it came out very quickly that they'd appointed Gavin Cowan. So that's not going to happen, is it? It might happen in the future at some point. I know. I think I'm right in saying he lives over that way.
Yeah, and obviously
he's a former player of theirs. But look, he's not going anywhere in a hurry, is he? We know that. I'd be amazed if he's not around till at least the end of the season. I think obviously what happens to us at the end of this season will determine his future with us. But at the moment, he's going nowhere.
No. Who else wants to comment on that? Everybody's gone quiet. Okay. Next one, Morecambe, take Travella. There
Well,
were
who's-
random comments. I thought I'd put it in there. I'm not going to name the guy. That would be wrong to do that. But Trivela, it's a difficult one. I think they have put money into the club. How much? They did say they're going to do it sustainably. So, does a Trivela doing what they said they'd do? And would it be wrong of us to ask them to do more and compromise profitability?
They said they were going to buy the ground within 3 years, which they did. They said they were going to buy do the Saddlers Club, which they did. I genuinely think that they probably have been surprised how competitive League Two is. I don't think they thought it was going to be as difficult as we seem to have made it to get out of this division. I have no problem with Trivela. We were dying under previous owners, and we needed something fresh. They're not a charity. They made it clear from day one. They're not a charity. They made it clear they're in it for the long haul. I think there's got to be. I don't like talking to people kind of in a preaching way, but I think it hurts, but I think we've all got to realise that the days of us being a mid-table, top-half League One team probably have gone for the foreseeable. You can't sustainably be a mid-table, upper echelons of League One on the crowds and revenue we have. And people will throw Lincoln at me. And you'll have a look at how much money Lincoln are losing or how much money is being put into Lincoln from elsewhere. To run League One has been contaminated by the Championship now, and League Two is getting contaminated by that as well. We have a choice to make. We can either throw the kind of Trivela out and end up with somebody like Morecambe have got, or Sheffield Wednesday have got, or you can let Trivela run it sustainably. But I think there's a bitter pill to swallow in that to compete at League One level, you need a lot more resource than we've got now. But we need to get out of this league first. And I think they've been took aback by how much it is. But long answer, I haven't got a problem with Trivela. I think they're doing what they said they'd do.
Question to Darren. Taylor Allen, Sale, David Cagbo, Sale.
Yep.
Playoffs, Wembley. A lot of that money, I understand they wouldn't want to throw it all into the playing budget. And I think the playing budget has been increased. But
I don't think it's been spent the wisest, but R.E. Warrington. But yeah, I see your point. So I don't know any Walsall fan who thinks we're going to go out and spend 800,000, 400,000 on a striker. We all know that's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
However, after what happened last January, where it was a learning opportunity for Trivela and who were on the football side of things, they were very, very complacent. We sat here on this fan chat last January, and I very clearly remember us all saying, strengthen from a position of strength, don't get complacent, strengthen. And what they did, I think they looked a little bit ahead to the following season and thought, we've got enough here. I feel, unless we've got 24 hours left of the window, right, they might surprise me tomorrow. But I would like to see that a one or two come in tomorrow that are those signings to push us on. And I think, given the Taylor Allen money, the Dave money, cup runs, whatever, I can't see why we can't do that. And again, before it gets taken the wrong way, I'm not expecting, mass money spent on strikers. There's good players probably in the League One and Championship who could come in and do a job for us for a few months to take us over the line. We talked about strikers early, didn't we, Simon, about having that other option. I think we're desperate for another forward, personally.
Yeah, I agree,
And
yeah.
if Weir does go and that rumour's true, we need to get a proper left-sided centre back in as well. So I feel like the money's there. They spent 18 million on Silkeborg, so I feel like there is money, but of course we need to do it sustainably. But also, let's show a bit of ambition.
Yeah, I think from my chat I had with Barry from SNS Steelstock, I'm not sure whether it was one that I think was included in the chat, but I think he believes that if we do get up to League One, that more funds will be made available for that division. So the Martin Lawton here saying the team won't survive in League One, but I mean you've got to put the budget, which is a sustainable budget for the division that you're in. That's the one. What's your thoughts on that, Frankie?
I think, like the players, you said that we have a lot more money, and like if Lowe's correct and we couldn't spend it. The rumor is we couldn't spend it on Lowe or Chang, and we didn't have the money to spend on either one. I question where has that money gone theoretically, because you spoke about sustainability, and I don't think we would have wasted most of our budget on the players we have, and if we have, then then whoever's job at recruiting these players should probably get sacked because they've done a poor job. And one thing to say to Trevella is, if we do not get promoted, the crowds aren't going to get bigger. They're going to get smaller and smaller as the seasons go on. And you're seeing that now with the Tuesday game and the game on Saturday, the last Saturday. They're quite much smaller than they have been, and they've been decreasing slowly. So if we get promoted, those crowds will stay high.
For those that are still, you're back. Hello. I don't know what happened there, but we're all good, I think. Yeah, so I think as far as the Nathan Lowe rumour, as Frank's alluded to there, the rumour was that we're in a discussion for possibly bringing Nathan Lowe back, but we couldn't afford to bring Nathan Lowe and Alfie Chang. Now, given that Nathan Lowe is not fit at the minute, that would have been a major risk. Knowing that Lewis Warrington was about to leave us because he's not really settled with us and not really impressed, and that position was a position we've been struggling in. So I think in that respect, as much as we'd like the thought of Nathan Lowe coming back, Alfie Chang was perhaps the bigger need in some respects. Bear in mind, Nathan Lowe wasn't fit to play, because we made that mistake last season, didn't we? Bringing in players that weren't fit to get straight in. Hey, Phil?
Yeah, like you say, I did see the rumours about Nathan Lowe. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But they did come from people who are usually fairly reliable sources. It would have been a risk, but would it have been a risk worth taking? I think that's a wider discussion. I just want to go back to a comment that appeared a few comments ago when somebody talked about would Trevella be disappointed about the money that's been wasted on some of the players that we have actually signed? And I think that's a good point. I think particularly in forward areas, we've been very good at getting some decent loan players in up front. Obviously, you look back at this season, Carnu, and then Freddie Draper, Nathan Lowe, Danny Johnson. Our signing of permanent strikers hasn't been quite as good. If you look at some of the players that have come in, Presley, Amanchi, Josh Gordon. I mean, even when we signed Danny Johnson, he was a player that we all wanted. We never played him. So I think there's definitely areas of improvement there. And if there is a limited budget, you've obviously got to spend it very wisely. And I think we've been guilty maybe at times of quantity over quality. I think I know you've got to have a squad, but I think if your budget's limited, you've got to make sure you spend. You do push the boat out a little bit in key areas of the team, and I think maybe we've been a little bit imbalanced in how we've spread the money around our team in certain seasons. But yeah, look, the Nathan Lowe thing. Yes, it would have been a risk because nobody can really say when he's going to be fit. But look, he's gone to Wickham now. I still think we'll be looking at getting a striker in tomorrow. It wouldn't surprise me. But I hope if there is a striker tomorrow, it's not another punt on a under 21 player who might be okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think the final comment on the Nathan Lowe thing. I know Darren mentioned just before we came on that Nathan Lowe fancied coming back. But I mean, I can't really see that Nathan Lowe would want to go back to League Two when he's been doing well in League One. But as Phil quite rightly says, with the injury, that is sort of a big question mark. And we made that mistake last time. As far as signatures are concerned now, as far as signings are concerned, the Trevella and Walsall model is to bring in players that they can sell on for a profit. So Alex Patterson sort of breaks that mould and just brings us a player that we need now. And then obviously the short-term signing of Alfie Chang, again, it's more like a strategic signing to help us potentially get promotion rather than just profitability.
Sorry, Sam. Yeah, I think that those two signings are significant. I think that's an indication from Trevella that they've realised that you can't have a squad built entirely of young, improvable players. You've got to have some in there, yes, but you've also got to have some experienced heads, which they've got with Flint and Jammer and Adoma. But you do need something in between those two as well. And I think Patterson in particular he's a profile of player that we haven't seen a lot of. What is he, 28, 29, something like that?
28,
got some experience behind him, got a promotion behind him, knows what it's about. And yeah, that is so I think it was an interesting signing for a number of reasons.
Yeah. Okay. Other than a striker, I think really that's key. I think another wing back. Do we need another wing back to replace Akiki, or was Hancock going to be slowly worked in to cope with that? What do you think, Frankie?
I think Hancock. I don't know. Hancock's a good left-sided centre back, and the thing is, I think the reason why Kike worked is because he could play both left side and right side. That's why someone like Asinway last year really worked, because they were two-footed. You could put them on either side of the wing back positions, and whenever there was a tiredness for either Barrett or a tiredness from either Gordon, he worked perfectly to fit in those systems, and that's why Kike worked this year, because he could fit in where Harper wasn't or where Barrett wasn't. And I think when we started the season, we had Hancock and we had. When we played Clark down the middle, he now works down the middle, but I don't see him working as well on the right-hand side. So there's a question, and I think Hancock could work, but what I've seen of him, he's injury prone, and he's a left-sided, so I think he'll work for Harper, but I don't know how he'll work on the right-hand side.
Yeah. Darren, what's your thoughts on Courtney Clark? Because he was brought in, as Frankie said, as a right wing-back.
Yeah,
he seems to move forward every week.
It doesn't. I mean, I think I could see him. When you're a wing back, you've got to have that like defensive responsibility as well. He seems like a forward, like wide forward or an attacking 8 or 10 to me. So I don't like him as much in that wing back position, because I think we've been exposed a little bit. We won't move from that, of course. But I think he's a player that's going to improve each year, I think, and I think he works better when he comes on as a sub, as an impact player.
I think so too.
I think he can bring pace into the game, a bit of trickery. Doesn't seem to play as well when he starts, when it's a little bit more cagey. So yeah, I mean, he can play there, but I'm not sure that's where his real best position is for me.
Phil, just coming to you on that. Is that a common thing that some players are better off the bench than starting? Because we can definitely say that with Courtney Clark. Like even on Saturday, he was non-existent first half, and then second half he came alive. So, in your experience, Phil?
Yeah, some players can be better suited to that impact role. But I think what you've got to bear in mind with Courtney Clark is we're still talking about someone who's very, very early in their Football League career. I think he's done brilliantly for the
Yeah,
the,
I love
the
him, I do.
limited experience that he's got, and the fact that he was plucked from non-league football. Nobody really knew who he was. I think he's come in and done a really good job. He looks like a player who's versatile. I actually thought he had quite a decent game at right wing back, and he probably did one of our only decent bits of attacking play in the whole game against Accrington, against Crawley, where he beat a couple of players and whipped a good ball to the back post for Jamil Matt. I think he can do a job there. I think he's got what I like about him when he does come on is he's a little bit unpredictable, isn't he? I don't think he knows what he's going to do half the time, which probably confuses the defenders even more. But I think he's got decent quality on the ball. I think he's a really exciting prospect. I think that there's a lot more to come from him. So yeah, I like the fact that he's a bit versatile and that you can bring him on in different roles. But I do agree with Darren. I think his better games have been when he's come off the bench and had a real impact in the second half. I think particularly some of the games you referenced earlier, Bristol Rovers and Bromley, I think he did that in both of those games and had a really significant impact on them.
And obviously the Norwich game, that was a special moment for him.
That was a fantastic goal. He nearly did the same thing against Shrewsbury. If you remember, he had that very similar position where we put him from the right and bent one with his right foot, which I think just came off the top of the crossbar. So he nearly scored a very similar goal to that against Shrewsbury as well.
That's good, that is. We've got a comment here. Bucky Barnes, when's the comedy night? The comedy night is a week on Friday the 13th of Feb. If you haven't got tickets yet, they are available from the ticket office. And I will also be in the Locker Lounge after the game next Saturday against Barnet. So you'll be able to get some tickets from me there for that as well. So it's going to be in the Locker Lounge Friday, 13th of Feb. Question, Zaid Depor. What's Bromley's budget there, top of the table? Now, this is the comment that we get from Lee Pomlet about budget. I think, just roughly speaking, I think some of the teams near the top of the table, top of the budget for this league are on sort of £5-6 million budget for playing, and Warsaw's is somewhere around 2.5, and Bromley's is reportedly less than that. And Bromley are doing an absolutely superb job making the best of their budget, and their recruitment, main reason for that. They've recruited very, very well. So Andy McGregor, turning to him, help us get the next big signing or the next breakthrough signing.
We've just been talking about Courtney Clark. When he scored against Bromley, it was mentioned that I think Sadler mentioned it actually.
Yeah, I wanted him. Didn't they?
Bromley wanted him, and we beat Bromley to it. So if budgets were everything, Salford wouldn't be in League Two at the moment. They'd have been long gone, and they're not alone.
Well, you just look at the spend of MK Dons. That is ridiculous spend, and yet again and again the money doesn't help them. And part of the conversation I had with Barry from SS Steelstock, on the interview I did with him, and the game of pool we had, the pool tournament, that was a bit fun. But what he was saying there, last season Carlisle had the biggest budget in the division and got relegated. So it's absolutely not guaranteed by putting extra money in that you're going to get the results. But I guess what everybody would always say, it helps. It helps, doesn't it? It helps. So as far as the elusive striker to increase our options and take the pressure off having to play Jamil Matt every week, Mo Fall is what's people's thoughts? I would absolutely love to have him back. Partly because he said he loves the channel, and he came to me and Stephen and told me how much he loved it. So that's probably made me good books. But I mean, I liked Mo Fall last season. I thought Mo Fall did good, and another 12 months, he's got a bit more experience. That'd be a good addition, I think. Don't you think, Darren?
Yeah, I mean, he's quite a handful at this level. He's definitely a Sadler type of striker, isn't he, as well? I think he looked a little bit in front of goal sometimes, I was a little bit like, oh my gosh, I forget who it was at home where he missed that absolute sitter. He did score a few, didn't he? So I'd definitely take him over that Lupala by, for example, as an option in the team. Funnily enough, on the back phone, I've just had a text, right, saying that we are talking to Wrexham about Fall. So we'll have to watch that one. I think it's been in the ether the last few days, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's something we love an old player, don't we, at Walsall? I'd love to know.
Everybody comes back to Walsall. It's a lovely place to be.
I'd love to know if other clubs are like us. We love re-signing players, don't we?
There's a few.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the deal we do tomorrow. I wouldn't.
At our level, I think that does happen quite a lot. I think I haven't got any examples of that, but I've seen it round about sort of back and all this business. Oh, so if that's the only business tomorrow, bringing in Mo Fall or another striker who's good to go, do you think we're set for a promotion push, Frankie?
Promotion push. It's a bit of a stretch with the squad. I think more of a playoff and then playoff to get stay in the playoffs and push to the top, maybe get third. I think you get a good striker, yes, it can work. I think you probably, as you said before, Weir a replacement. If we could have got a left-sided centre back for Weir, like a younger one to play there, that might have worked. There's still, and then maybe also, but other than that, I think other than like getting the best player, getting a whole new squad, I think we have got a good squad and a good push for top, maybe try and get to third and a definite push to stay in the playoffs and then win the playoffs, which is the mental thing to say. But I think you could, I think it's maybe bringing a bit more backups, maybe bringing a right wing back in just to slot in. And other than that, I can't really think of much maybe than a centre back and a right wing back and the striker.
Yeah, I think that the problem is when there's high spending teams around the top, and is that going to strengthen them, or is it just going to give them more selection options and maybe disruption if you have too big a squad? Because that can also be the problem. Midfield, though, I think we've got enough midfield options now, haven't we, Daz?
Well, Warrington opens a space. Warrington definitely offers a space. Particularly, you're going to play the box midfield because you've got two players that can play at the bottom of that box. In reality, I suppose you could play Patson there if you needed to, but we've probably got enough. I think there's a conversation for a wing back and a Simwe type wing back, as Frankie mentioned earlier, that can play both sides. And I'd absolutely take Fall. Fall's last league goal was for us, by the way. He scored 7 goals since, all in the Football League Trophy and League Cup. But his last league goal was for us. But I'd take him.
I'd love him back.
Whether he could fit into that system is a conversation. But a return here and a return to goal scoring form will probably do him a lot of good and do us a lot of good, and might I don't think he's got much of a future at Wrexham by the look of it, so might help him as well. So
I think he was his form for us last season that got him his big move, wasn't he?
It was a move that he couldn't really turn down. You couldn't turn down going to Wrexham, but at the same time, it was a move that got huge problems because if you don't score in the first month, they were always going to pull somebody else in, you know. Yeah,
got you. Phil, defensively, I think we got plenty of cover, haven't we?
Yeah. I think one thing that's been good, I talked about the home form earlier. One of the positives is that at least we kept 2 clean sheets, and I think that it's good to see Harrison Burke back. I like Harrison Burke. I think that's probably our and Matt Sadler's preferred 3: Flint, Burke, and Weir. But you've got Farquharson who can come in. You've got Brown who can come in. You've got the lad that's coming from Barnsley as well. although I believe he's injured already. But,
the party, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not too concerned about us defensively. I think we've got enough cover there.
We've even got Stan Straw, haven't we?
Yeah,
Stan Straw is an emergency guy coming. He does a good job.
Yeah, it'd be a big ask to throw him into a promotion push at this stage. I'd be cautious about doing that now. I think what he has shown is in the league trophy games is that there's a player there, and that in the future that he will be brought into the team. But it'd be a big ask to throw him in now. But yeah, my biggest concern, so I'm just backtracking a little bit. My biggest concern is you were talking about getting a striker in, and I agree. I would absolutely take Mo Farl, and you said somebody to take the workload off Jammer. My biggest concern is if Daniel Kanu breaks down. If Kanu gets injured and he's out the team, that is my biggest concern. And I think we have to have another striker, because I'm not convinced at all that the lad we've got from Fulham is that person. Somebody who, if worst case scenario, Daniel Kanu gets injured, somebody that can come in and do that role. That for me is something that we've got to box off tomorrow.
I think Lupala Boy is far more ready than Ethan Wheatley was. I think he's far more ready, and so that's.
It's difficult to say because we've not really seen much of him. I thought he actually, when he came on second half against Crawley, it might have been Accrington. I'm trying to block both games out of my mind, to be quite honest. One of those two games he came on, and I thought he showed a few nice touches. But it's a big ask to ask a kid, a kid from Fulham who's come out of their under-21s to come in and push a team to promotion. It's a big ask for him, and I wouldn't expect him to be able to do that. That's why I think we need somebody more along the lines of a Mo Farl, who's got more experience and more goals behind him.
I think Mo Farl would be the perfect addition. I think. I just want to run through this if I can press the right button. Just want to cover off some of the sponsors for this season. SNS Steel Stock, we know all about, sort of really great partners for Walsall. And Smash Burgers, I've missed the Smash Burgers bit on that. But yeah, we've got an extra thing coming up for Smash Burgers. I've got some meal for two vouchers, which I'll be giving out. Maybe for people who are jumping on fan reaction and that sort of stuff, or maybe some competitions. So that's something that's coming up. Maz from I'm going too fast on here, aren't I? That's it. Let's have a look. You can tell I've rehearsed this, can't you? There we go. Maz from Cleaning with Class. Excellent sort of local stuff. Cleaning services, including biohazard specialists. So that includes cleaning up blood if you've killed somebody. So that's the person to cover there. Ginger Apple. They've been absolutely superb with me. They've created the pop-up banner, and they've sponsored some of the program for the comedy show as well. So great thanks to them. That's sort of everything from vehicle livery to banners and the likes. And then we got Supermark for all your tree and gardening services. And then you got me. I did say there'd be lots of different stuff coming up this year. And obviously the comedy stuff was the big one. Right then. So we are at that precipice where one, maybe two editions on Monday can get us right at the top, or competing in the top three. Do you think top three is doable if we get the right people in, Darren?
No.
What do you think?
Let's be more positive. I think we'll finish in the top 8. Right? I'm not going to sit here and say we're rubbish and we haven't got a chance. I just feel like this is such a big week, and I really, really, really want to trust that we'll have a good day tomorrow in the transfer market, that we'll show that second half form that we saw at Chesterfield, at Bristol Rovers, and then against Barnet. I feel like I've just learned from watching Walsall, and I've learned from last year to be cynical. So I feel we might just struggle, but there's always the chance. My gut feeling is we'll probably, with some good additions, I think we'll probably finish in the top 7. I just feel we're missing that spot, but that could be put. If we get in, a quality midfielder and a striker like Fall tomorrow, then I'd upgrade that a little bit. But
Yeah.
I've been watching Walsall far too long, so I really, 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 really hope we can sit here at 11 o'clock, tomorrow night, and we'll be like, brilliant. It's much more likely that we'll get a text at like 11:01 that we've sold. We've sold someone.
Sold Evan Weir. Yeah, that's
sold
it.
someone, and we're not replacing. But yeah, so my heart would love it, obviously, but my head is that we're just a little bit short across the whole squad. Not 1 or 2 players, just across the whole squad.
Phil, slightly different question for you. If we don't bring anybody else in and there's no more transfer business, do you think we can still make top 7?
Yes, but I'll go back to what I said at the start. Not unless we improve our home form and get that back on track. That's the big thing for me. Our away form has been pretty good and pretty consistent all season. I think we're still in the top 2 or 3 maybe for away form in the division, but our home form has really dropped off lately. As I the stats are there to back that up. That has to improve if we're going to get anywhere, and we have to find a way of doing better against teams that come to Bescot and sit in a little bit more and make life hard for us. We've got to find a better way of breaking those teams down. Yeah. So, I mean, look, we're in the play. I know we've dropped down to 7th. I get it. We were top before Christmas. We're now 7th, but we are still only 3 points off 3rd place. So we're still in a decent position. So the opportunity is there, but with the way, in particular, the way the home form has been recently, I'm not convinced that we will find enough to get to maintain it and to get back up there.
Frankie, the style that we turned on against Chesterfield, is it possible for us to stick to that and keep going with that style, you think?
I don't see why not. I don't see where the problem is with not playing that style. I think it's as Sadler said, if you want to hit the ball a bit less, I think we should play that style. I think it was better to watch. You could actually see where we could progress the ball and where we can make the passes, and
it's actually entertaining for a change. That's
it actually made you feel nice to be a Walsall fan for once, other than the ball being kicked long and thinking,
yeah.
It made you be able to look at the floor in the game instead of looking in the air half the time. So I do want to argue that we should be able to play that football, and I don't see otherwise. Why not? Like there is no. It's not like we don't have the players to play that football, because we have shown we can play that football this time, and other times we've shown that we can play this football. We can get attackively. So I would argue we should.
Very good. The Daz. This is something Stephen mentioned. I think the long ball. The reason the long ball doesn't work is because we do it all the time, and it's varying. Sometimes playing it through the middle, and sometimes playing the long ball. But I mean, they should be able to coordinate that to have some kind of method to sort of when to go, when to not. Because you've got the same with the press, haven't you? It's that communication and that cohesiveness across the pitch. What do you think? Are we capable of doing that?
I don't understand the question, mate. Sorry.
Are we capable of that flexibility where sometimes we can go long and knowing when to go long and knowing when to hold it in?
Well, we showed yesterday we're capable of doing both. Yesterday was a clear proof that you can. I think we've got different players in the middle now who give us options, and I think you can go back to a 6 and 2 8s. You can play the box, you can play the 3, or you can play 2 6s and an 8. The options are there. I think you've got to have the confidence to believe in it as well. I think the one thing I felt in the 2 home games we just had the confidence. Confidence was lacking as those games went on. It was easier to give the ball to somebody else or to knock the ball long than try and push a ball through midfield. And I think the support's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I thought it was a difficult 10 minutes yesterday, but generally it's been brilliant. But we may need to be patient with them as they kind of morph into whatever we want them to be.
I suppose that's it, isn't it? And the thing is, as Frank sort of alluded to, when the football's not great, it's hard when it's not working, and it is our role as fans to sort of cheer them on. But obviously, you need a bit of encouragement from the team as much as the team needs encouragement from you.
The first thing that happened yesterday when Carnu scored was Patterson and Carnu and I think Burke all turned over to the side stand where we were in and said, "Come on, give us some more help." And they went looking for help straight away. And the atmosphere from that moment on, the positivity was reflected in the way we play, and the way we play was reflected in the positivity in the stand as well. We are so much more powerful when we're together. And sometimes it takes patience, sometimes it takes a chuckle, and I get it. I absolutely get it. We've been a long time starved of anything. But I think, Phil mentioned it earlier, May will be when Sadler gets measured. And I think that's the measure. But from now till May, I just think we need to stick together.
Yeah, stick together and see how far it takes us, I think. Just as a final thing, just final moments, I just want an appreciation moment for Albert Adomah. We missed him majorly on last Saturday and last Tuesday because he didn't come off the bench. How amazing was he? How amazing was he? He was only on the pitch for half an hour, but he was man of match. He was just absolutely sensational, wasn't he? Any other comments?
He must be an amazing person to be around.
Yeah.
You know, everywhere he's been popular. Your manager loves him. The players love him. He's full of energy. He must be a really infectious person to be around. I'd love to spend an hour with him just to know.
Yeah. Go on, Daz.
Yeah.
Do we know anything more about his injury?
I think he opened up his knee. That's what Sadler said. He says he thinks he'll be okay.
Oh, he thinks he'll be okay. Oh, good.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, but I think
go on, Simon. Sorry.
Because we've got two aging strikers. I think, not being disrespectful because they're 20 years younger than me. We've got two aging strikers to go into the second half of the season without further cover would be an absolute madness. An absolute madness. And as Lupala Boy, I think he's going to come good for us. I think get more game time, get him on the pitch, get his first goal, and I think he'll be fine. But you can't rely on him. You can't rely on him at this stage. That's a too big a risk if we really want to go up.
Just get Josh Jordan back. Can I just say as well with the Adomah, I thought he looked better playing. Like they must hate him at Chesterfield.
They were scared the moment he came on. He
wasn't playing this like random like striker role. He was out wide and getting involved. And I thought he looked
a winger. He's a winger. That's what he is.
Looked loads better for that. I thought.
Yeah, play him as a winger. That's a new role. No, not a new role for him. That's where he's played all his life. Okay.
What's one of those? Yeah.
Phil, final word from Phil.
Final word from me. I just want to get this one in quickly. Just an apology in advance about Saturday's game against Barnet. I'm taking the kids from my school for a match visit on Saturday. I've done it for the last 3 years, and we always lose when I take the kids from my school for a match visit. So apologies.
You need to wear a wig. You need to wear a wig so people think it's not you.
Well, probably need to wear more than that, mate. So apologies in advance for Saturday. But no, in all seriousness, look, Yeah, we'll see what tomorrow brings. Hopefully there'll be a couple of it, well, at least one addition, maybe a few more. I don't think we do, and I'm expecting there to be a few little bits and pieces done tomorrow. Hopefully they'll strengthen the areas that we've talked about. And just to reiterate what Daz has just said, we are totally agree. We're stronger together. I totally get the reactions at the end of the Accrington and the Crawley game, but I think it has created a bit of tension, a bit of an uneasy atmosphere at home. And I think with the way the home form has been, it's going to take a little bit more than that to convince some people. But I totally agree. We are much stronger together. Let's stick behind the lads, because we are still in a good position. Not as good as we were before Christmas, but we're right in the mix. We're right in the mix, and couple of wins, bit of confidence, bit of momentum. We could easily get back up there.
It's all about the next game. If we follow it up with a win at Bristol Rovers and then a win on Saturday, then the belief will be there for everybody. We just hope so. Final word, Frankie?
This is a plea to both Matza and Shavella. Please go get promoted. I've never seen a promotion. I'd love to see a promotion before I go off to uni. I would love to have a bit of happiness before I get to uni. Please just get promoted and do whatever we can. Just see the word P next to my name and a bit of happiness at the end of this journey, so that I can turn 18 and finally, and after drink my sorrows away with water, I can actually drink. I can have a bit of joy. So please just get promoted.
With the joy, the pain. I sort of touched on Darren earlier on, but Darren, final word.
Yeah,
that's right. That's sorry.
I just hope we have. You've all said it really. What I agree. For me, it's that we have a good day tomorrow. That's all I want. Just a good day tomorrow. Just learn from last year. We've left it a little bit late, but let's give Sadler some weaponry to go out and do the job. And I just hope it's a good day tomorrow. That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
I think it's just giving Matt Sadler that extra bit of support to help him get us where we all want to be. Sorry, Daz, final word.
Darren stole it off me. Big day tomorrow. Get it right.
Yeah. Play the ball on the floor. Use our skills. Play it through the middle, into feet. All is good.
I don't care how we play as long as we win. I just want to get out of this league. I really don't care.
I think we all do, don't we?
Big day tomorrow.
Oh dear. So and final word here from me. Fans should not get on players or managers' back. Sadler has continuously appealed to stick together. So let's do that. And see whether we can get where we want to be. Wolves Fan TV, thanks for watching. Join the pain. We'll have another fan chat next month. And all good fun, eh? Nice one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Cheers.